One more thing, coming from this conversation, you mentioned that a lot of people tend to go away, like they'll get bored of that style of writing and bored of that style of content. How many unsubs have you seen, in this entire journey, in this 1.5 years? If you can just,
Yeah, so our unsub rate is from 0.1% daily is when we started out,
okay,
and now it's at 0.01% daily. So the averages for newsletters globally is around 0.1%.
okay,
But over time, we've become better with the users that we've got on board.
all right.
And you've seen that with our open rates going up as well. So we have actually learned the hard way about driving open rates up from 13% to 30%.
And how did that happen?
So a mix of two things. So
Okay,
the first part is, of course, your content. If
okay,
you look at our newsletters when we started out, they were absolute garbage. Like, I can't believe we put out this kind of content, right?
all right,
When we put out at that time, we were like, oh, this is amazing.
right,
We're the best. But now when you look back and you look at our quality today, and I still think we can improve 2x, 3x.
okay,
Right? There are some mistakes that we make that
right,
we can get better at. So that's 50% of the battle. The other 50% of the battle is getting into the primary inbox.
okay,
Gmail's algorithms are pretty sophisticated in terms of classification of emails into spam, promotions, updates,
it's
and primary.
right,
So, how do you get in the primary inbox?
okay,
You can read through the first 20 pages on Google, and you will still won't know everything that you need to know. And
all
we've
right,
learned everything through experimentation.
all right,
So, we have built our own tech stack
okay,
such that we could pretty much be a SendGrid or a MailChimp. We can send out email newsletters for anybody.
okay,
And in fact, this has turned into a way of survival for us right now because we are helping B2B businesses launch their own content specific newsletters
okay.
where
That's
we'll do
awesome.
everything from content to email deliverability for them.
All right. So, let's jump in right there.
Yeah.
This is the section I wanted to come to is about revenue,
Yeah.
right? So far, I'm assuming that the boring news as a newsletter, I don't see any ads. I don't see any
We
subscription.
have since the last 2 months, we've been featuring a couple of brands.
Very few. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, like you said, so how does the revenue generation happen? Is it the B2B thing that
Yeah.
you
So
mentioned, right?
there are two main things, right? So
Right,
advertisements will definitely be a major revenue source.
right,
And when you look at CPM rates,
right.
uh, email is like 20x more expensive than YouTube
Okay,
because the time spent is
right.
much higher.
So, are you looking at something like in India? Are you saying it's 2,000 to 3,000 CPM
No, CPMs in India will vary from 800 rupees to 1,500
for the
for the
newsletters?
newsletters.
All right, because I know Spotify is about 300, 400 for their premium audience
Right,
in India.
right.
So you're saying 800 to
Yeah, I know newsletters were charging 3,000 rupees.
in India,
Yeah,
and these are Indian writers marketing. I mean, writing for an
writing
Indian
for Indian
audience.
audiences,
Okay, amazing.
15,000 subs sort of.
Which one
I'm
is it, if you don't mind?
I can't share because the founder shared the
All right,
details with me.
makes
But
sense.
at some point, I will mention them so
All
that they
right,
get the right plug as well.
right, all right. Cool. So yeah, coming back to the revenue, one is the advertising, and how what's been the response of the advertisers, for this medium particularly, right?
So a lot of them who we've spoken to, for them it's an area of experimentation.
All right.
So they've never, if anything, they've had their own email flyer distribution system like marketing,
Okay.
right? There are a
Okay.
ton of edtech companies that do this.
All right.
But as we've been speaking to stakeholders in the ecosystem, we've realized that there are a lot of businesses which are reliant on email. So there is a very, very famous fashion designer.
Right.
40% of our revenue comes through email marketing.
Okay. Awesome.
So there are people who really know how to leverage the power well. And the pitch to them has been we'll get you access to our audience of
All right.
17,500 people
Right.
who are a very niche audience,
Right.
email savvy. A lot of your targeting burden is sort of taken care of. And they'll
Right.
spend a ton of time, in several seconds, if not a minute,
Right.
reading about you guys
Right.
versus on social media, which is less than a second. So people have been quite intrigued. I'll be quite honest, the results have been mixed. So for some brands, we've done an excellent job,
Okay.
especially brands which have a freemium model and an entry level product which is free.
Okay.
For them, we've done a very solid job.
So what's the CTR that comes through on your emails? Open rate is
So
30%.
yeah,
Yeah.
so CTRs typically on a day-to-day basis we'll see about 1%.
All right. All right.
But when we run campaigns, we're encouraging people to click.
All right.
So at that time, we've seen CTRs go all the way up to 4.7%.
All right. So you give it some kind of prominent space, so you kind of make it very obvious
Yeah,
for the audience to click on
yeah.
it.
So
All right.
we'll do it in a very native structure.
All right.
So there is a native article which we'll write about the particular brand, and usually the brands that we feature have relevance to our audience base.
Right. Okay.
especially folks in the education space, right? I
All right.
won't say ed tech, but education generally.
All right.
Then we have a variety of different form factors.
Okay.
So we will, if they want to do surrogate content marketing, we have a section called tip ships.
Okay.
So there are brands who we've partnered with who want to showcase themselves as subject matter experts
All right.
in a particular aspect of life. Maybe it's hygiene, maybe it's investing,
All
whatnot.
right.
So then we make sure that the brand is featured as the provider of that intelligence because
Okay.
you notice good industries like fintech,
Right.
edtech,
Right.
it seems almost commoditized, right? Everybody seems like they're doing the same thing. Like
Right.
I can't tell the difference between Bharat Pay and Paytm. Like this is my personal problem, right?
Okay.
I'm sure there is.
I'm
If you
sure. Yeah.
speak to anybody over there, that's what they'll tell you. But the average Joe doesn't know the differentiation, right? So the question is, can you as a brand say stay top of mind
Right.
without it seeming like you're advertising all the time, right? And content is a great way of doing that if you can showcase yourself as a subject matter expert. So when we are pitching to brands, we always say, think Michelin star guide for Michelin tires, what that's done for them.
Exactly.
Alignment in brand values, and
Through
you can use
content.
surrogate content to stay top of mind. So now when I have to think about buying tires, I'm thinking of Michelin tires, at
All right.
least first.
All right.
Same thing with Sachin Tendulkar's MRF bat, right?
Makes sense.
It's almost similar. But over there, it's again, if you think about it, it's almost like content marketing because like you're consuming cricket
In a way, it's content
and
marketing.
and
Yes.
in a way it's content marketing, right? So we've been telling a lot of brands that okay, we can help you launch your own newsletter
Right.
from a content perspective where you send a periodic email, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once a month, but you're saying top of mind for your customer and they're not feeling like you're advertising them because you're showing them industry expertise.
Right.
So for example, you're a paints company, you
Right.
understand color combinations really really well,
Right.
right? You know how to set up homes quite well, you know what paint goes with what kind of furniture. You can be doing so much in terms of a periodic magazine, if you will,
Exactly, exactly.
that
So,
posted into
so
your
what
inbox.
you're doing exactly is that you're going out to. So one is the advertising side, and the other side is you're saying that for a brand, let's say you're a paints brand, I'm going to define a content strategy, which is via email.
Yeah,
It's an email, right?
yeah.
So are you just providing the tech stack, or are you also providing the written content and everything?
So we do both,
All right,
depending on we do either or both.
all right,
So there is a brand that we're working with where the content is coming straight from the CEO. He wants it to be a personal branding initiative.
right,
So there we're the delivery partner, making sure they're getting high open rates.
right.
There is a crypto company that we're working with where they want us to handle the content, but because they care about confidentiality, they want to send out the emails, but we'll help them optimize certain things that are tech stack.
Okay,
So the emails are getting high deliverability
all
into the
right,
primary
all
inbox.
right.
And then there is actually a paints brand that we have just got a verbal
Okay,
commitment from
all right,
where we'll do everything end to end.
all right.